Hello! We are back on my channel, Prince of Queens, with my friend, your boy Pat. We got cut off due to technical difficulties. I'll actually go closer to my wireless. I'm running around with my fucking laptop in my... Oh, wait, no, I actually just spilled some water on the floor. So, um, Pat, will you talk about something for just a second? And I have to, like, sort of at least attempt to kind of mop up the water. So say something for a second. I'll be back in about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay, what's there to talk about? Prince was laying out a real interesting story until we got onto a topic where Google Hangouts feel like they had to censor us. I got a lot of people saying, "Senpais, notice us. We notice."
Oh, yeah. Hi. Okay, wait. I have to uh, God, I have to get the water on the floor.
I'm gonna chat it. I'm gonna chat it up with the stream right quick. I say, Pat, you all right? Oh, thank you, Fawn. Hey, you press black chick. Alfie. I said, who else is up in here?
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
So, I was gonna tell that story. I will just take it from the top because, yeah. So I have a friend. This is the story of the one time that I ever, in real life, in non-YouTube reality, ever said the word nigger around a black friend of mine or whatever. And I didn't even say it. It actually ended up being in text. So this is how it worked. I have this friend who that I used to be in a band with who is a black lesbian. And so she and I were really good friends, but then probably 3 or 4 years after we had been in the band together, she was dating this girl who's a stripper and who's white. And
Mhm.
this stripper girl was just bad news, just like the worst girlfriend that anyone could have. She was a drug addict and she was crazy. And I honestly kind of think that she might have just been sort of using my friend for popularity points because she just wanted to be going to parties all the time.
Uh,
And my friend was DJing a lot and promoting parties. So um, this crazy white stripper. um, she was just bad news, and I hung out with her once or twice, and I could tell that I was like, "Oh, this girl's crazy." You know, like she's some of that you will have over to your house, and she won't leave till 5:30 a.m. You know,
oh, damn. I'd
yeah,
be like, you got to go.
yeah. And she's like, we can call someone. Someone can come over with some stuff. You know, she's like that type of girl. And again, I
I'm
do
like,
not.
no, y'all leaving. I'm going to bed.
And so yeah, and like I don't endorse drug use. Like I don't do drugs. It's been a long time since I've ever done anything like that. And I don't think people should do drugs. I live in a weed smoking state. It's fine to smoke weed in my state, but anything else, like I would say probably not a good idea, and because you'll end up like this girl. And my friend had this kind of a thing where she wanted to talk about this girl because the girl was having, she's a problem girlfriend, so she's trying to talk and be like, oh, Prince, what do you think I should do? She keeps, saying that she got clean, but then she didn't get clean, and blah, 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 blah. And so, I totally talked to her about it this one time for like hours.
Mhm.
And then this other time she wanted to talk about it, and I talked to her about it for a little while, but then it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I've really given all the input that I can into this situation. Like, you're a good friend of mine, so I'll talk to you about it because that's what good friends do. But at the same time, like, I don't have anything else to say. Like, I think you should not talk to her anymore. But she loved her,
Mhm.
and she couldn't get over her or whatever. So this one night, I I stayed up all night this night before, and I was drinking into the afternoon. It was probably like noon or 1 or 2 p.m. Right? And I had stayed up
Mm-hmm.
the whole night the night before, and I was at my house drinking, and I'm pretty sure I was alone. I don't remember anymore, but I was like like okay, I'm gonna have a few more beers, and then I'm just gonna, because like when if you ever stay up the whole night, you can't go to sleep at like 10 a.m. because then you'll wake up at like at 8 p.m. So you're like, okay, if I go to sleep at like at least 3 or 4 p.m., I can at least sleep till 4 a.m. and then get up and go through my day. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just out of it. I was just out of it. And my friend wrote me a Facebook message, and she said the name of the girl. I don't remember the girl's name, so I'll just call her Stacy. Um, and she sent me a Facebook message. And remember, the stripper girl's white, and my friend's black.
Mm-hmm.
She sent me a Facebook message that said, Stacy relapsed again. That was like the fucking first message. Like she didn't say hi. She didn't say hi or anything. She was like, how you doing? She's just like, Stacy relapsed again. And so I said, fuck that nigger.
Oh no, I think mom was like I said, like I told you.
Because yeah, that was my way of saying I told you, kind of.
Uh,
Like I'm like, not only am I gonna say I told you so, but I'm gonna say it in the most uncomfortable way possible. Like that was
I've been like, bitch, I told you.
yeah. And I thought it was gonna be okay, because I thought she would understand the humor of it, but it wasn't. She
Mm,
was in a bad mood, and she got mad at me. Like she was like mad at me, and I
mm,
had to like totally apologize. And I don't even think I ever really I moved out of the city not that long after that, and I don't know if I ever even saw her again. That was in when I lived in San Francisco, and she was living in Oakland. um
mm.
so I don't know if I ever even hung out with her after that. No, we probably did. We probably did. But yeah, that was the only time I ever used the word nigger with an actual friend of mine. And it was obviously in a very joking situation because I was talking about a white girl anyway. Um, so yeah. Okay, so we were talking about your kids. And I wanted to ask you what your kids have said about Black Lives Matter and what you've talked to them about Black Lives Matter.
I'm saying they really haven't gotten into it very much because it's like to them, they're really like dumbfounded about it. It's like, like what they're doing and why they're doing that. And I try my best to explain it to them, but then, like they're just like, like they really don't get it. They're into like the little teenage zone right there to where they're having fun and all this right here. Like, like I told you, like they have many plethora of friends, kind of like how I grew up on. Like, they have the white friends, they have the Indian friends, and all this right here. And I told them, like I said, they just see them as, as really cool people and things like that, and not like, oh, you're a white person, or no, you're this and that and everything.
Hmm.
So it's like when it comes to the whole entire Black Lives Matter thing, I think they really haven't like really grasped on to like what they're really all about.
That's cool. That gives me some hope because, like, I feel like when we were growing up in the 90s was
Mhm.
really racist, like racially charged period too. Like it had the same type of race baiting going on. And,
Mhm.
it was like a combination of like the Rodney King beating, that was messed up. That was a legitimately
Oh man.
messed up thing that happened. But then they had it with like OJ, which, that was like he really did kill them, like that was weird, and then they were having like the whole gangster rap thing and like acting like all black people are thugs because of like that was the first time that mainstream media ever really glorified black gangster culture.
Mm. Oh yeah, because when you had things like NWA, you had Dre, Snoop, and all of them right there. Like yeah, going through the '90s, yeah, like gangster rap was really like owning out.
Yeah, and it changed the way that kids acted. I felt like as soon as gangster rap got popular, like all sorts of like young ass kids were trying to act all hard and shit, and it was like
Hmm.
what the fuck? Like people who used to be my friends got all like that, and it was like, oh, this is stupid. Like, um, but at the same time, we were just kids, and so like maybe if we were older, we would have noticed it more because like it's usually people that are in college or a little bit older that are usually affected by the race baiting and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. But it did go away. It went away for a while, like in the early 2000s through, actually all of last decade. It wasn't popular to talk about racism all the time. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember it.
Yeah, it really didn't get popular until Obama hit that office. When Obama hit that office, oh man, it was on then, Because what was the first song that came out as soon as President Obama hit that office? My president is black.
What song? I
Oh
don't even know
man.
that song.
Oh, I think who sang that? No, it's not. I forgot the person who sings it. But it's like, yeah, it's like, man, oh, when that used to be like the national anthem for a whole lot of black people while I lived around.
Do you know what song I rediscovered that is a really good song? And
I think it was Jada Kiss.
Jadakiss. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. So a good song that I rediscovered from the '90s. And it holds up to this day. And I played it at last call at a bar. One of
Mm.
the last times I DJ'd, and everyone was really into it and was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this." It was that song, "That's Just the Way It Is," the Tupac Shakur one.
Oh yeah.
It's such a good song. And it's funny though, because in the lyrics, he's all like, he says, that I don't remember exactly how he says it, but he says in the lyrics that I'll never live to see a black president.
Yeah, like like yeah, like we ain't ready to see we ain't ready to see a black president.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it's funny because it's like, well, oh, I thought he said we didn't. I won't live to see a black president because he didn't, But we
Mm.
yeah.
No.
So yeah, that was weird. Um, well, that's interesting that your kids aren't into that because like a lot of like people say that Generation Z is going to be the most conservative generation. I ended up in a conversation with a white nationalist on YouTube Hangouts. Like, I didn't see his face. I only know his first name. It
Mm.
was through somebody I kind of know, and I was just curious because I never talked to anyone who's like actually into that at all. Like it's not, like we know some shitlords and everything, but like we don't know. In our little circle of friends on YouTube, we don't know any like
Mm.
white nationalists or anything. Like it's just not. It's like what we're trying to do when we play Quiplash and we use the word nigger. Like that's not our train. So
I know, be like, man, it's especially like to the point where I'm right now. It's like it still sends like a teeny weeny jolt in my heart, man, when I hear it. But it's like I'm basically diffused from it now. It's like niggas just like I don't know, basically just like how black people are saying right now. It just means homie. It's like no matter I'm saying who is coming out of a person's mouth. It's like when somebody is being racist when they are saying that word right there. But it's just like only the smart people, well, I'm not going to say smart, but only the people with common sense, will really know like who's being racist and who's just bullshit.
yeah, yeah. I will say that like I imagine if I am not in a quip because like I'm sort of like the token gay guy out of everybody that we know. And you're one of the few token black guys. There's a few, but
Yeah,
um
there's a few of us like what you got me, you got what you got Tyler Preston, you got some black guy out there,
that
you got Ren,
that guy T and
yeah, that guy T, Tyler Preston, that's it.
yeah. Yeah, there's a few and there's a few that find their way onto streams that are, smaller channels and stuff. Um but
Mhm.
like I definitely feel like when I'm in a quiplash game with some people, people I are probably less likely to make faggot jokes, and like you know I can't tell, like I don't often watch other people play quiplash when I'm not playing, so like I can't I don't know. It's like do they people definitely say faggot a lot
Mhm.
when like I'm in streams, and I had to get used to that, coming from straight people. Like when I first started streaming, it was like, oh, these people are using faggot as an insult. But then I realized that it's almost entirely uh people calling other straight guys, like straight guys, faggot. And when they say it, it's not that they're accusing him of being gay. It's more like calling him a wimp or a pussy kind of. or
Hmm.
or if he's bad at, if he wants to hit on some girl and he doesn't have skills, then they'll call him a faggot. Um, just something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how that's like different. They don't mean it in a homophobic way.
Yeah.
And because like when it's just different. Yeah, yeah. I don't need to get into why. I think you know what I mean. So
Yeah, I know.
yeah. No, it is weird. Somebody called out a friend of mine, I'm not going to say who, on Twitter because they used the term faggot on Twitter, and then they tagged me and they asked, is it cool for me to say faggot? And um I had to kind of say, like, well, it depends. Like, it depends. If you're like hanging out with your friends and like it's obviously just a joke, that's one thing. But if you're gonna say it on
Hmm.
social media, um it could make people that don't know you think that you are homophobic. And if
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a good, like, I would never ever think of like making a nigger joke on Twitter.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I don't really make them that much anyway, occasionally in Quiplash, but
Hmm.
damn, like never on Twitter, you know what I mean? Like, I just wouldn't do it. And so it sends a wrong impression to some people. And also like, maybe you don't mean it as an insult. If you say faggot, you don't mean it as an insult to gay guys, but you have to understand that some people, like, let's say a 15-year-old hears you say that, they will think that you mean a gay guy, and then they will also think that gay guys are bad in your opinion, and then it might
Hmm.
it might inspire them, like, so like, people, words. I'm definitely freedom of speech, but I do think people should be conscious about the type of thing that they say.
Yeah. Because there are some people like, like even though, you or your friends are cool with it and things like that, other people are going to see it like very differently. And trust me, I've encountered some of those people quite a lot. Like, like the way I think and the way I talk on my videos and right there, I've encountered my fair share of, black people and things like that. And the first thing that comes out, oh, you're a coon, you're a house nigga, and you're a race traitor and all this bullshit right there and everything.
Uh-huh.
Because I just tell them, like, as a black man myself, the way that I've grown up and all the success that I've obtained in my life as of right now, while still, like out there, striving and achieving and still going. I'm just telling, like, like, it really ain't that bad if you put your mind to it and if you work for it and things like that. Like, black people can really make a come up. And if we didn't, we wouldn't have all these successful black people they would have right now, actors, actresses, pro athletes and things like that. If black people were really down as BLM and all these other pro-blacks claim to be, then why do we have all these successful people, especially the ones up there right now who are virtue signaling
Yeah.
like a motherfucker,
uh,
but yet sitting up there enjoying all that vast wealth and things like that, which was handed to them for their talent. But yet you're gonna sit up here and you're gonna tell the young generation like, oh, like the world is racist and things like that, and they're out to keep you down and whoop whoop. Like, what the hell is that really saying when you're up there living in a lap of luxury?
yeah. Do you remember? Did you watch a few years ago? I think it was the year that the Oscars So White thing happened, and
Oh man.
Jada Pinkett was like gonna boycott the Oscars, and then Chris Rock. Do you remember that Chris Rock, what he said? Do you remember that?
Uh, I'm trying to remember what it's like.
It was so funny.
No,
Okay, Chris Rock is
I
like,
didn't watch. I didn't watch the Oscars anyway.
yeah,
Like,
no, I think I just watched the opening Chris Rock, because I Chris Rock is one of my favorite stand-up comics,
mm.
and he's like, so I guess Jada Pinkett is boycotting the Oscars. Jada Pinkett, was she on TV? That's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. So good. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think that people, if you are a minority of any type, you should at least go through a phase of hanging out with people that are like you and like talking about what it's like to be like you and everything.
Mhm.
But like, once you've been doing it for like 3 years straight and that's all you ever talk about, like, you have to examine something, like,
No.
like, and what sucks is that, like, it's gotten to the point where I'm so sick of like all the white people I know, or like recently this guy that I know, who's a white guy, he had Black Lives Matter signs stolen from
Mm.
his house. Like they were in his yard and somebody like came and stole them. Um, and he was like, it must have been some racist white person. And I was like, well, it actually might have been a black person, like for all I know. And so I shared a number of videos, and I'm like, yeah, check out this some black guy video or this tree of logic, or I'm like, there's a lot of black people that are really not into it at all. And I think that they're probably more against it than most racist white people, because they feel like it's gonna punish the black community in the long run. Like that's who's gonna
Hmm.
suffer from it. And these people will try to be like, in so many words, they'll be white people being like calling them coons, being like, oh well, that's just a coon, and I mean they don't say that, but they basically like, oh well, that person has internalized white supremacy or some shit, and it's like, fuck you.
Oh, the buzz. Oh man, the buzzwords kill me, boy. Shit. The denial and the buzzwords. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that.
Yeah.
Like, no, we just think for ourselves, and I'm saying we're the type of people that basically went out there, like when we were given opportunities, we seized them. We didn't take them for granted and things like that. And then when the opportunities weren't there no more, we found every excuse in the book to blame everybody and not take personal responsibility. See, that's what, in my opinion, that's what's really wrong with the black community right now. It's like right now, like back in the day and things like that, when things were greatly racist, and we had our ancestors, like fight from slavery and things like that, and we had, like I'm saying, all our civil rights leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and all them doing everything they did to pave the way for black people and all this right here. Now what you got? You got all this. I'm saying, black people are basically given education right there, and I'm saying all these scholarships, all these government funded, like scholarships and things like that to help black people, excel in college and all this right here and everything. A lot of people have taken this stuff for granted because they're too busy trying to keep it real. I got to keep it real. I got to keep it 100. And then when the opportunities are not there no more, then they're actually trying to do something right there. And now they can't get it. They just can't get it automatically just handed to them. Now all of a sudden, like, oh, it's the white man trying to keep me down. They ain't trying to give a brother nothing and all this right here. No, they tried to give it to you a while ago and things like that. You squandered that opportunity and now it's gone. Now you just have to basically work your way back up.
Hmm. Yeah, one of the things I notice about people that are often the whiniest, of at least at the moment, with black people, and it is in my social spheres. So like when I was in the Bay Area, I had a lot of black friends, because
Hmm.
there's actually black people in, especially in Oakland, and I knew a lot of people who lived in Oakland, or friends that lived in San Francisco who were black, and I was in, two different bands that each had a black member in them, and but over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of fighting amongst the friend circle that I used to be a part of. Everybody turned into SJWs, and then they sort
Mm.
of stopped being friends, and most people moved. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that the Bay Area became too expensive to live in for anyone, and everybody was kind of like looking for somebody to blame. And so it was kind of easy if you were, you know, if you were black and all of the race baiting stuff was happening, like all of the Black Lives Matter,
Hmm.
and all those fucking BuzzFeed videos and shit were coming out, and your rent went from being $900 a month to $2,100 a month, over the course of a year and a half, like that, and then everybody's telling you it's Whitey's fault, it's Whitey's fault. Like you could internalize that, you could start to believe it.
Hmm.
Like I can totally understand that. But one of the things I've noticed, which is kind of ironic, is that a lot of the people who complain the most about white privilege and stuff are black people who have capitalized upon being black and being a token in their I say this, when I say capitalize, I'm usually referring to like the music scene or something. And
Hmm.
like I have this guy who used to be my friend who now lives in Portland, and he's the lead singer of a band, and his band is really, I mean, granted, it is really good. Like he's a good singer and a good performer, And I don't think that he doesn't deserve this, but he definitely tokenizes himself because Portland is like the whitest. It's even whiter than Seattle by far. And so he gets a lot of like he gets paid attention to because everybody's trying to be an intersectional feminist, and he's this black gay guy who sings in a band. So everybody's like, "Oh, cool, you're so cool," but he won't shut up. He won't shut the fuck up about like white privilege and blah 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 blah. We couldn't be friends on Facebook after a while because of it, because it was just like, dude, you benefit from being like a black gay guy. Like everyone wants to fucking go see your band all the time. He even won like best band for some like newspaper thing last year. You know, it's like, dude, I think you're doing all right. Like, I don't know. Like, so.
Yeah, the one thing I gotta ask about Seattle though, man, like, man, Zarna, God, what a,
Oh
oh my God.
I had one Facebook friend in common with her.
I'm like, where the hell did they find that fucking nut job? I mean, that woman takes the cake and then some.
Oh, do you know what we should I want to can I show you a video?
What up?
It's only like 3 or 4 minutes long. It's this woman who is running for mayor in Seattle, and she is not as wacky as Zarna Joshi, but she has this like slam poetry thing that's pretty cringe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny because I like this is another example of like the kind of people that come from Seattle. It's only 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Let me configure my computer so I can play it. It'll just take a second.
I'm like, those people are going to be the seed of their own destruction.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm gonna screen share. This woman is gonna try to run for mayor. This woman thinks she can win mayor. I mean, she might have a shot of being one of the finalists, you know, or whatever. But just because Seattle likes to virtue signal so much that they would like actually support this woman, but it's, oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
Do you see the boy in the corner? Yeah. The one with the prettiest blue eyes. Do you see how he carries well-intentioned honesty like a badge, how entitlement wears his shoulders like a mantle, and privilege, well, privilege holds his hands. Do you see how he speaks to the class like royalty, looks at me like target practice, fires off Nikita? I'm just being honest. But when you say Black Lives Matter, I feel like you're calling me racist. I feel like he trails off with hesitation. The room cannot hear him, but I can feel his words. They are a pulse on the nation's vein. He's not the only one who thinks like this. He continues, you make me feel guilty for being white, but I didn't shoot the boy in the streets. I don't want his blood on my hand. This is not my weight to carry. See, all of a sudden his words hit me. I am shell-shocked rebel, heavy with the prayers of ancestors and uttered sounds that I need to understand. I am slave ship, chattel and parcel thrown overboard when my flesh cannot complete the journey. I am stolen, mouth that would tell you my story, but history is not mine when I am still auction block property. Runaway slave, I am sharecrop land stolen by genocide and broken treaty. I am prisoner of war. I am black boy blood on pavement, black girl face down in dirt, black trans woman skirt shirt torn. I am exposed. I am hands up, please. Do not shoot us while we are carrying our children through underground railroads. I am fist throw power.
I'm sorry. I have to pause it right there. Sorry, let's just back it up. I need to say that again.
I am hands up, please. Do not shoot us while we are carrying our children through underground railroads. I am fist throw power, Black Beauty and Selma's son. Heat beat down on pain so we can march again and again and again. Each time it's still the same. They say, give it time, and time things will change, but I cannot control this riot. And my skin, when waiting, burns like pepper spray, like blunt object, like police baton shoved in my face is a tired beast of a mask telling you just how much I need to be free of this boy. In the corner, still waiting.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm like,
do we need to finish? I don't think we need to finish.
oh man.
Yeah, okay.
And this person is running from
Yeah, this person is trying to run for mayor. This is, yeah, so like Zarna Joshi, and now I should make a whole video of her. Now in fairness, Hold on, let me plug in my headset. Oh, come on. There we go. So in fairness to her, she is that was a Black Lives Matter slam poetry thing that and so obviously she's not normally like, you know, Zarna Joshi, I think, is like actually sounds
Shit. Sona Josh is nutty.
sorry.
Uh-oh. Oh,
I
there you
plugged
go.
it
Let's say went silent again.
I plugged into the wrong USB port thing. I was like, oh shit. Okay, so in fairness to this woman, she that's a fucking slam poetry thing. She doesn't actually sound that crazy. And I saw a little presentation, not presentation, it was video footage from her at town hall, and she was on a stage discussing low income housing with the mayor. And she actually sounded reasonable, and I'm not necessarily even against her actual platform. Though she did definitely, it was only maybe a 4-minute clip that I watched. She definitely had to bring up race. Like, she couldn't talk about low income housing without being like, this disproportionately affects black and brown people, blah, 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 blah. She had to make it about that. But honestly, like, ultimately, I don't know if I have any problems with what she is actually advocating for. I don't like looking at her reading that thing makes me think she's a little bit biased, and it makes me also think that she probably doesn't actually have any logical like economic understandings. It's like, I don't looking at she's a lawyer or whatever, and it's like, okay, I can accept the fact that maybe you're an intelligent woman, and you're not a full-blown lunatic like Zarna Joshi, because like when she was talking to the mayor, she was reasonable. But I still, it's like, okay, you're never gonna win, and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with the whole Zana, she has like, she just know she had attention and she had a platform and she just went straight nut job. I'm like, oh my God. This woman has completely fucking lost it. Get the straight jacket.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but I kind of feel like it's like she might be like a Gazi Koso or something, because like how did she make those videos? Those videos were pretty big budget. Like those would cost at least a few grand to make, to hire all those actors and to get them edited and shit like that. Like, because she didn't make those videos herself. Like,
No. Like I said, and that's what the whole GoFundMe. What was it? It wasn't GoFundMe. I forgot what the damn fundraiser was. What she was trying to raise. What, $1,000. But all she was basically getting, she was getting like like $1 from people who were just basically paying to like sling insults.
yeah, yeah. Huh. That okay. Seattle, though, like it does speak to the mentality of how gullible the social justice people, like not even social justice warriors, but like this the people, like the kind of people that my mom knows, like the people that would my mom will sometimes try to get me to come with to some like she'll be like, yeah, there's a youth poetry slam if you want to go. I'm like, no, no, I
No.
cannot. She's like, yeah, but you used to do that, and I'm like, yeah, but like, okay, first of all, I would cringe if I saw myself do youth poetry, like really bad. Secondly, like, I would laugh. Like, I can't be there, like. But these people are so gullible. Like they'll as long as someone's trying to sound woke, they'll lap it up in Seattle, because mostly in people's real life they are mostly very white culturally. They might not be. There's a lot of Asian people in Seattle, like a whole lot, and but culturally people are more white American, and probably listen to mostly rock music and maybe like house and techno or whatever, and they have to fulfill a quota of, trying to like be progressive racially, so
Mm.
they listen to the loudest, they watch that woman that we just watched. They'll watch a few videos and be like, oh, that's so cool, that's so cool, and then they'll go back to their day, listen to rock music, being a white person. And that's kind of what it's like here. And so, like, Zarna Joshi can capitalize upon that because she'd be like, I'm a woman of color. And the reason that you're not paying attention to me is because you're patriarchal. Blah, 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 blah. And people will be like, oh, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Well, see you later.
And
See you later, crazy bitch. I'm going out,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, no, I'm not listening to you because you're nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and even though I'm saying, even though Humongous saw that, man, as soon as she started acting fool, like, yeah, I got to get away from this crazy motherfucker before she, because it's like that whole entire thing. It's like that was just her whole entire purpose was going there looking for somebody to pick at, just so she could just play a damn victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the wild part is, like I'm saying, she came up after the dude after listening to his whole conversation, like his whole interference. And then she came up to him, throws her camera up in his face, demands his name. The guy's not finna tell you his name and things like that. And I'm saying, okay, I'm just finna give you a fake one. Humongous. And all of a sudden, I'm saying, where did her mind go? Her mind went into freaking freaky deaky sexual harassment mode. Like, where's your mind at? Like anybody else would have been like, hey, that could be an actual name. Like, there are many wild names out there. Like there are actually gym shoes and all those
Yeah.
all those crazy funny names that we hear about. Next thing you know, like, damn, somebody actually really does have that name.
Yeah.
But it's like she saw something she knew she had, and I mean, she just rolled with it and acted a damn fool. And if it's anything throughout the whole entire situation, she still looks more the damn psycho.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I think that maybe she was getting paid to do it because, you know, Seattle also had those crazy fucking women that came and interrupted Bernie Sanders that were like, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't be reasonable, we are reasonable. We are reasonable. Like,
And I said, how you gonna be reasonable when you're sitting there screaming at the top of your damn lungs, all up in?
yeah. And those people are pretty sure that they did get paid to do that. And that would make perfect sense because that was like the moment where Bernie Sanders definitely was not going to win anymore, was when that happened. And so they had every reason to pay them to do that. And it's almost like Zarna Joshi, somebody paid her to go to the fucking bunker thing and
Mm.
start a conflict with the police so she could like yell and play victim. And that's why she, because it was like he didn't even do anything and she just took the excuse. It was like she was waiting for it. It was like somebody had,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they paid her
Mhm.
$500 to do it and she was going to take the opportunity no matter what. And yeah, it was crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, because I've been hearing a lot about that. Like when all these riots and all these crazy ass things be going on, they be saying a lot of these people are like basically like like paid professional victims just to go out there and like to start shit and to
Hmm.
see who's gonna be gullible enough to take it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think that is unlikely with somebody like Zarna Joshi at all. She's just fucking crazy.
Man, that woman is gone.
Mhm. So,
And
oh, yeah, sorry.
but no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that's what the real problem, like I'm saying, with the whole BLM movement right there. It's like just like with like feminists and SJWs and all these, like organizations out here, they have radical bad apples, but they refuse to call them out. Then it's like when other people on the anti side start calling them out, then you want to like, oh, you're being racist, you're being sexist, you're being this, or basically like me, when black people like me start calling out the bad apples in the BLM, when the pro-black movements, oh, you're a coon, you're a house nigger and all that right there and everything. They try to demonize me for basically doing what they should be doing. And that is calling out your horrible people who are making your organization look bad by the way they're freaking acting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, this just occurred to me because I think I've seen this happen before. Like, I think I've literally been around this happening, which is that like, um, as we were talking about at the beginning in part one is of this two-part series that we are doing this evening. When there's like an activist and they're trying to do some sort of black activist thing, they get together some sort of meeting, like they're like, we're going to have a meeting and we're going to plan some protests or some shit like that. And I've been to these, like when I was in high school I would maybe show up for the anti-racist protest thing. And there would maybe be 30 people who show up, and the person who was in charge would usually be like some woman that, like the video that we just watched, the slam poet. She's the type of person that would be in charge. And then it would be maybe the crowd of people that would be there would maybe be half black and half white, right? And out of all of the black people, there would maybe be 3 or 4 that would talk, and they would talk a lot, and they'd be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And then you'd notice that, like, the other people who showed up, who are probably the people that are, the poorest and maybe the most affected by racism, like, these are people who actually go through hard lives, they feel afraid to talk. Like, they're like, oh, well, there's this person who's using all these big words and, shit. And like, I'm scared that if I say something, I'm going to, and it's always like a feminist who's the leader, and shit. And and so like these people who are like, there'll be some teenage boy that's like 16 years old, and he doesn't know how to talk to like feminist women. So he shows up to that thing and he feels really awkward. He never talks the whole time because he's scared of, like if he says the wrong thing, they're going to jump down his throat. And I feel like that happens, and then these people go away, and they feel, they had an opportunity to potentially, influence these people, but they don't feel like they can even talk to them. And then eventually they grow to resent them, and then they call them out, like, in the way that you and so many other people do. And then what you're saying, they call them coons. But like, I feel like there is just like instances in which feminists and these people that start talking a bunch of nonsense that somebody, like, it's like they're trying to be undoing racism, but they're doing it in a way that, like, the average, the type of thing they're talking about has absolutely almost nothing to do with the average black person's experience, and it's alienating. And it's like, I was trying to tell my mom about that. Like, I was like, I just feel like there's such a disconnect between what activists talk about and what the average black person talks about. So. I don't know. That was a bit of a ramble.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I would say like it's the same type of thing kind of happens with gay stuff. Like there's gay organizations that are like so disconnected from any sort of gay reality, and it gets really weird. Like, but I don't even like the only like activist thing that I would do as a gay male right now, which I do with my channel, is trying to get gay guys to not be feminists, because I think it's really destructive to gay men, to
I know. I got a question. Like I said, what do you feel about, like I said, them trying to like, basically, like, teach the children, like, all the, like the LGBT things that are going on, like, all the issues that are going on the side. Yeah. Like the queer kids and Ollie Pikes and all that right there.
Well, I think that there is some amount of education, that's okay, because there are, now that gay marriage is legal, there's going to be more and more families that are gay parents. And I know some gay dads that have like 7 kids or something, which is slightly awkward. But you should be able to educate kids about that. Hey, you're going to sometimes meet friends, and if you go over to their parents' house, they have 2 mommies or 2 daddies, and you should know about that. But I think that that's about where it should end. Like I've had moments with where I've been around my friends' kids or something. Like one time I was in the car sitting next to this little girl, and she was like 5. We were coming back from a cabin trip where we went up to go canoeing. So the little girl decided that she was cold because she was wearing shorts or whatever, and she wanted her mom's sweater, and her mom was like wearing the sweater, so she's like, no, you can't have my sweater. And the little girl wouldn't shut up about it. She's like, I'm in the sweater, and she kept going on and on. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll give you something. So I the only thing I could find that was mine was this like hanky thing that I have that's like not hanky, but it's like a scarf kind of.
Hmm.
But and it's I think it's silk, and it has flowers on it, and I used to be a kind of a hipster. I would wear shit like that, and so I gave it to the little girl because I was like, here, how about
As long as
this?
you weren't like one of those BuzzFeed hipsters.
Oh, I had way more style than them. Um, no, so I gave it to the little girl, and I was like, "Here you go. Will this work?" And she was like, not really, very appreciative, and she's like, "Why does it have flowers on it? You're a boy." And I'm like, and like it's one of those things, and I think I waited for a second to see if the mom was going to say something, like the mom could have stepped in right there and said something, but she
Mhm.
but she didn't. She just didn't say anything. So I was like, because I am a boy that goes on dates with other boys. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, and then she didn't care, But it was like, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gay. Do you know what that means? Like I just like so yeah, I don't think I think that kids maybe it should be a part of sexual education, like when you are in the eighth grade and they do sex ed, they should talk about that.
Yeah, that's
um
my thing right there. But continue.
well, and but other than that, like I don't, I want to leave it up to parents. And I mean, I don't think it's a problem if kids see images of it. Like if kids see a movie where there's two guys kissing or whatever, like I don't think that that's a problem. But I do think it crosses a little bit of a boundary when people are starting to like actually educate people about it, because it's inappropriate. Just because it's like, I don't think that kids should be like, you should bring up sex at a particularly early age with kids anyway. And you
Mhm.
certainly should not be like messing with their heads about their genders and shit when they're little. And like, because like kids already are playing make believe and stuff when they're little, and
Yeah.
you don't need to like put any ideas in their head that they can just decide to be a girl if they want to be a girl when they're 4, because they might run with that. Like,
I know, and that's the thing that gets me. Like I'm saying, with the queer kid stuff and with the Olippocs right there, it's called. They're aiming towards the nude, not just the youth. They're aiming towards the youth. Like I'm saying, like like the preschoolers on up to, like I'm saying, like to what the three that what I think the age limit is like what 3 to 7 that they're really aiming for and things like that, and they're
yeah,
using like all the glitz and glamour that if you are a parent are not really aware of what your child is doing like online when they go for these things like the YouTube Kids apps and things like that, and then they find they find these little these channels like like queer kids stuff and like popping out and things like that, and to them, they just seeing all this like, ooh, pretty, good story and all this right here, like because yeah, they slick. They know how to, like if they ever get the chance, they know how to manipulate these kids because it just basically looks like a your standard basic kids show, but they're throwing all these subliminal message in it. But my
yeah,
thing is like, like when you sit right there aiming towards though that right there, like that age limit right there, like yeah, there's something like really, really freaking wrong with you in my book. Now I can understand as time gets by when you hit like toward the teenage zone and things like that, and you really kind of like like question your sexuality and things like that. And you get, then you get education like that from like, the real, honest LGBT members and things like that, not the ones who are sitting up here trying to manipulate you and trying to normalize and trying to bring up this next generation of, like future SJW LGBT. So I'm saying people like queer kid stuff and them can seem, like normal and all that right there. But if it's like at a certain age limit, that I can understand right there. But when you're like aiming towards the kids and trying to feed them, what they're trying to feed them, that's why I have a, as a parent, that's why I have a problem with like that should be the parents, who should like teach them, that part right there. But as time goes by, then, like they can further their education, with like LGBT members who what I'm getting.
yeah, like, yeah, well, yeah. Once it gets to the point where, well, I think that there should be more work done into psychological, uh learning how, like, when it's best to introduce children to people of alternate sexualities, and
Hmm.
when is it okay for a kid to like my mom taught me about sex at a very, very young age to the point where I just didn't understand it. Like I was like 4 or something, and she was like she had some book that had pictures of naked people and was like trying to explain the penis goes in the vagina, and I was just like, what, like what are you,
Uh,
and it was just because she was like that. My mom's kind of a hippie, she's like sort of a SJW hippie.
what did you get to did you get like the Naughty magazine, like talk?
It wasn't a naughty magazine. It was a kid's
Oh
book.
man.
But it was one of those like
Oh.
weird hippie ass kids books, that have like the like naked people in it and shit. And it's like,
Hmm.
so yeah, like there could be if people like kind of agreed upon a age that it was appropriate to start introducing these ideas, and then if kids were, because you by the time you're 13 or 14 years old, you know if you're at least bisexual, or if you're attracted to
Hmm.
members of the same sex, like when you go through puberty. And
Yeah.
I think it's with men, it's probably going to be 9 times out of 10, if you feel like you're homosexual. No, maybe more like even 95 out of 100 times.
Mm.
If you feel like you're homosexual when you're 13, you're going to be homosexual. And then 5% of those times somebody might be bisexual, or might end up mostly liking women. But most with guys, yeah, you mostly know. I've known very few guys that have actually legitimately been confused and gone back and forth. A few though,
Hmm.
a few that I think they all end up moving to San Francisco at some point in their life, just because. But yeah, it's like I think it's more appropriate to sort of have sex ed, and then there can be more education from older gay, lesbian type people who would talk. They tried to do that with me, and when I was in high school, they had this guy who would come and like host a queer group for us, but he was kind of a dick. Like he wasn't actually that
Hmm.
nice. Like I don't know. I feel like I would be good at doing that, but I don't know if I'd really want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like how Base Mom is in the chat. She says like, you talk about sex with your kids when they become curious about it. Like don't jump a bunch of shit on your kids when they can't handle it. It's like I'm kind of like that. Like with me, like with these channels like Queer Kids and things like that. It's like they're trying to basically like trying to like like force like force and try to like really like confuse these kids into like thinking in like a certain way and all this right here. And and Lindsay kind of freaks me out any freaking way. It's like the way she be going at it, it's like I don't know, you look like kind of a future pedophile in making. Well with Ollie is just like he's just like one of those, just one of those guys, like you can just tell, like Ollie is, queer to the max, and he just wants to like make the next generation, just like him, just be, like,
Wait, I
oh,
don't even know if
like
I know that guy. You keep saying it. What's his name again?
Ollie Pike. He was the one that
Okay.
that went on that Twitter tirade and things like that that reported Irate's Barrack video talking about, oh, this is hate speech, and telling them, saying, people to like reporting. Then all of a sudden he went, tweeting J.K. Rowling and President Obama, or former President Obama, and
Uh-huh.
BuzzFeed and all that shit, basically trying to gain victim points and shit like that because he can't handle criticism.
Wait, I still can't find, how do you spell his name?
I think Olly.
Oh,
I think,
Pike?
yeah, you'll see him. He looks like I'm saying, he looks like a freaky ass version of Pee Wee Herman.
Huh. Oh, wait, no, there's Poppy Ollie. Wait, Irate. Oh, so Irate Bear made a video about him.
Yes, like I said, he made one where he ended up taking it down. It was like called like the new queer kid stuff. And you know how I rate Bear, like when he makes his videos, like he had a lot of ad homes in, and he kind of went, like, really wild on them. But like people like Ollie, they're so fucking sensitive, they're not used to criticism, and they feel like any sort of criticism is hate speech, so they're just gonna scream, oh, we're being discriminated and you're a homophobe and all this whoop whoop stuff like that. So, gets his fan base all on irate bear, where they basically like, like sending him, like hate messages and things like that, threatening to like, like to hurt him and all this right here. Plus, like reporting and mass flagging his video and all this right here. So that's what caused him to like take the video down himself personally because, he was getting so much, like bad, like bad publicity, and they were talking about, like reporting him for hate speech and things like that. So it basically forced him to take down that video and just make up a new one and things like that. Basically, like saying like, like, oh, Ollie can't take criticism and all right there, and like this is what the real problem is.
Uh-huh.
And that's what was really jacked up on that part right there. And it really makes Ollie look like a big asshole that can't take criticism.
Yeah, because I haven't heard anything from about Lindsay getting mad at anyone.
Well, Lindsay, I think what it basically is like with Lindsay, she keeps everything like, from her Queer Cure Stuff channel, that separating thing, because like she disables the comments and all that right there.
Yeah, yeah.
But on her other channel, that's where she has all, like where she talks about, people like, like supposedly hating and things like that, when they're basically telling like, you're sitting up here and you're trying to indoctrinate little children, like with the things that you're trying to teach. And
Yeah.
that's really horrible. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to do like the jobs that the parents really
It
supposed to be doing.
it makes me feel like I can't help it. Like when I look at things like Lindsay, I'm like, was Rush Limbaugh right all along? Like, was he? You know what I mean? Like talking about the liberal media and shit. It's like it does seem like that. It's like maybe it was always kind of like this. Like maybe I just didn't notice.
Mm.
I don't know. It's weird. This Ollie, I feel really embarrassed to say this, but I almost kind of think that Ollie's kind of cute.
I don't know, whatever floats the
Some people said they thought Lindsay was kind of cute, so I mean, I would have never thought.
Lindsay, like, I don't know, maybe in the kind of way, but she just rubs you in the wrong way. Like, I don't know, she just rubs me in that weird, pedophile kind of way. Like, damn, like, I think you're trying to basically, confuse these kids just so you can, because I don't know, she just has like that, like she's down on a kid level. And that's what really freaks me out about her. It's like, my kid's a teenager, so, but it's just the fact that all those other kids who, if they ever, and I pray to God that they don't, ever come across this channel and things like that, it's just like, ugh.
Your kids probably wouldn't like it though. Like I don't feel like your kids sound like the target
Listen,
audience.
No. My kids are teenagers. Like I said, they spend too much time on their phones and all that right there anyway.
Dude, this Pop and Ollie guy, I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of these videos with the sound off, and he has a pretty big budget. Like somebody's financing these.
I said, yeah, and I think like I think what they were saying, like what up in the UK, that some of his videos actually get played up in the school, and that's what really like like freaks
Oh
me out
fuck
too. Is like,
that.
man, I'm saying, like if his videos can actually reach the school, I don't know what they're doing for it. I don't know if they're actually trying to teach, this type of stuff to the kids or things like that, or they're just based. I don't know how they're showing the video, but that's what really weirds you out. Like, like if this ever reached like the schools and like it was normalized, especially like to like preschools and things like that. That's when that's when you really have to raise like a red flag.
Yeah, hold on 1 second, Pat.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah,
Nice.
I don't really normally do response videos, and I have never been one to sign up for YouTube drama, but I'm almost tempted with this Ollie to try to get some sort of beef going on. I have to say, because
Oh no. It's like if you're doing things like that, I'm saying, be ready for them to, like I'm saying, to start tweeting at everybody. Oh my God, I'm getting hate speech again, report him and all that bullshit.
well, see, I think that I could do it in a way that it would. I mean, okay, I could do it in a way where he wouldn't be able to have a because you've watched my videos. I'm pretty good at not
Mhm.
doing at not. I can play the SJW. I can play by their rules.
Yeah.
Like I can make a point without saying something that will trigger them. And so
Uh,
and they hate it. They fucking hate it because normally.
I know, and that's what I have the problem with. Like that's the reason why I couldn't make responsibility as hardly and things like that because I know I'll say something that they won't freaking like.
Yeah. Um,
I would get blocked.
yeah. I've been trying to get that fucking Queen, that Gabe Gonzalez guy. I don't know if you've seen. He's a Dot Mike guy. Um, have you watched any of the? You've seen Doc Mike. Dot.
I think the last thing I've seen of Doc Mike when they did that thing right there talking about I think what the 23 ways of saying of being what getting killed if you're black in America. I think that's the last thing I've ever real seen right there, and it made me to make an opposite of that video right there because
Mhm.
I'm like really because they were using people like Alton Sterling and Corinne Gaines and basically like all black people and stuff like that. Which most of the people who had died, they were justified shootings by the police, but they tried to make it like these black people were victims and they didn't do nothing. I think that's the last video I've seen from Dot Mike, and I'm like, nah, these people are shit.
Huh. Oh, by the way, if anyone in the chat wants to make me some memes of something that has to do with I want Hillary Clinton didn't do nothing, and I want mainstream media didn't do nothing. A friend of mine made me a mainstream media didn't do nothing one, but I lost it, and yeah, it was cool. But yeah, anything clever that has to do, like I have a good one that says Islam didn't do nothing, and it has a guy holding a sign that says.
Oh yeah, that was my last video, and oh man, I had this one person. I think what they were a gaming channel. Oh man, they did everything. They were defending Islam while trying to demonize Christianity, and I don't know, it's just me
Oh
and
god,
another
it's such a.
person. We just basically went off on him, and then he tried to get upset. I don't know if it was he or she, but the channel they tried to get all sarcastic because a person like had sent them a link to like a Wikipedia, which basically talked about Islam, and they're talking about, oh, your source in Wikipedia and all this right here. Oh, that's a lie. But then they go and they source an article. I think what was it? I forgot what the article was from, but it was basically it was an article basically saying the same thing. Islam didn't do nothing. It was talking about Christianity, and I'm like, ain't that the pot calling the kettle black? You want to try to laugh this person for sourcing a Wikipedia article, but then here you are, like I said, you sourced this article written by somebody else that you just found that you just so happily agree with, and, and try to use it as a credible source, and we just basically lit them up. Like I'm like this motherfucker here. I think I actually tweeted that out.
Huh. Um. Yeah, I'll look. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I'm thinking we should maybe end this, but I'll open up the Hangout so friends in the chat can hang out for a little bit if they
Mm.
want, just because it's getting a little bit long and there's two parts to this now. Does that
Oh yeah.
does that sound like a plan?
Oh yeah, that sounds real good.
Okay.
See who wants to come in here and ask questions.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this has been a good. I think I'm definitely gonna save this. I think people will want to watch this again, actually.
Oh yeah, I had fun doing this. About time we finally did this right here.
Yeah, totally. This is exactly what I wanted to like. There's it's such a funny. Every time like a white gay guy. Okay, when I say a white gay guy, I mean me. Every time I get to talk to a straight black guy, it's always about being a gay guy and being a black guy. It always ends up
Uh,
becoming a really interesting conversation. And as soon as I met you, I was like, I know that we're going to be able to have a good stream someday, and we're gonna go over all this shit. So I'm glad that we
mhm.
finally got to do it. Okay, I'm gonna end the broadcast. But chat, I gave you the Hangout link, so yeah, you guys can come in. Okay, bye.
All right, everybody.